Welcome back, everybody. Today I have got my main build for you guys, my Stamina Templar. This is Ghost. This is a build I've been playing for a very long time, and it is a really fun build. It's a different take on Templar. It is a fully single-target Templar kit. AoE nerfs coming in, wink wink. And of course, it is very fast, has awesome sustain, and hits like a truck. Now, this is a critical damage build, and coming into the new patch, I think this is a good time to be given the crit builds a shot. The Impen trait for gear has been nerfed, and of course the Shadow Mundus is going to affect your healing done as well, so a good patch all around, I think, to be getting into these kinds of builds. And Ghost is definitely a solo build, I think. You can play it small scale or in a large group too if you want, but I think this build really shines in that solo environment where you can use your speed, use your terrain, and then drop some devastating combos on people as well. And a little bit of a disclaimer, Ghost is a bit of a tricky build to play. So if you guys are newer to this game, you can give this build a shot, but having an intimate understanding of the game mechanics that you can use to attack and defend with definitely goes a long way for a build like this, so it definitely has a little bit of a learning curve. That being said, it is a very effective build. By no means is it bad, it just is a little trickier to play than some other things, but the trade-off is that Ghost can do things that a meta Templar build can't do either. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoy the footage. We got lots of gameplay for this guy. It is, of course, from the previous patch because I am releasing this video on the day of the new patch, and we have got a written guide on my website, so be sure to check that out too. And without further ado, let's take a look at that build. So to begin, we are a Wood Elf on this bad boy, and Wood Elf is the race of choice. It's really between Wood Elf and Orc. We want to have that 10% movement speed bonus as well as being a choice stamina race. Wood Elf's a little bit better because we can get that movement speed bonus when we're in our mist form as well. So it's a little bit faster than the Orc is while providing pretty similar other stats. But at the end of the day, any stamina race will work. We have a lot of weapon skills, so even Redguard is a good choice too. And then taking a look at our max stat, we got the 10k Magicka, just shy of that, 22k health, and almost 31k stamina. We have a bigger stamina pool than I'm used to playing with Ghost, which is really nice, especially since we're using the Torque. Having a bigger stam pool is very beneficial. The small mag pool, again, is actually good because we're using the Torque, so we want to keep our Magicka as low as possible and just have better regen. And then, of course, the hit points, I'm in 7 medium, and that's why we don't have too terribly many hit points. You could go for 511, and that'll give you a few thousand more HP and just all your stats all around. It's up to the user here, but there is a reason we've gone for the 7 medium. Now, taking a look at the sustain of this build, I'm going to buff up with the potion for you guys as well. Our stamina recovery is 2,668 when our Torque is going, and our Magicka recovery is 1,264 when we get our Torque going as well. This build does a really good job utilizing the Torque as well, so we actually get a lot of usage out of it, and using Mist Form you can really control, especially the stamina recovery aspect of the Torque, which is super nice. And then, of course, we got that weapon damage, guys, when we buff up with our Rally into our Mist Form here. And back on the front bar, we've got 4,080 weapon damage. We are running Sword Singer, and we are running Torg's Pact, so we've got 655 base weapon damage there, 600 base weapon damage here, and then the Master Bow for another 330 base weapon damage. When we are fully buffed up, we have 6.4k weapon damage on this build, just a little shy of that value. That is absolutely insane for a Torg's Pact build, especially considering we're running infused weapons as well. Now, taking a look at the weapon crit, 47.1%, and this is the reason we're running the 7 medium, so we have that little bit higher weapon crit. The reason that I opt into weapon crit so much for this build is because Torg's Pact really benefits from a higher crit rate, just getting that enchant to hit harder. But like I said, if you want higher max stat, you can give up the 2 or 3% crit here and then opt for the little bit of max stat instead. Now, taking a look at our resists on this build, this is actually where Ghost is a little bit decent this patch. I mean, we've got 2,300 spell resist and 2,200 physical resistance, 2,676 crit resist. Not bad at all, and if we're standing in our rune, they get a little bit higher as well. This is because Torg's Pact gives us 2 armor lines, so yeah, we're not really tanky or anything, but the little bit of extra bulk is nice for us. And then taking a look at our Mundus Stone, we have got the Shadow. We're full Divines on this bad boy, the Shadow giving critical damage and healing this patch, such an excellent choice. And we are a stage 2 vampire to give us that 300 weapon damage bonus when we exit Mist, and of course to give us access to Mist form. And then, of course, for the food, we are running the Artaeum Takeaway Broth. This is the food of choice, giving us max health, max stam recovery, and health recovery. All of those are really beneficial for the build. The question you may be asking here is, why don't we have a Magicka recovery coming from the food? Our mag sustain is really low when the torque isn't up, but the torque is up a lot, and the sustain on this build is really good still, so we actually don't need that additional Magicka recovery. I actually found the mag sustain felt almost the same because we always have the torque going for the most part, so... And then for the potion on this bad boy, we've got the Essence of Health, and this is a fantastic potion to have, giving us all 3 of our resources back, and of course the regen bonus to all of them as well. Now let's take a look at the gear we're running on this bad boy. So the first set we have, of course, is the Sword Singers on the front bar here, and this is going to give us some huge base weapon damage just to all of our 2-hand front bar. And when we take a quick peek at the skills here, we'll go over them later, you can see we've got predominantly 2-handed skills. So yeah, Sword Singer definitely the way to go for that best in slot burst / healing set for a 2H build. And then we have got the Torug's Pact set. Now this set has been buffed this patch to give us an extra armor line and make the enchant value a little bit stronger too. Really nice stuff. And then when we take a look at our weapons here with the infused enchant values, we can see 6,400 poison damage and 655 weapon and spell damage. So huge bonuses coming out of the Torug's Pact set. Honestly, one of the best sets in the game for a huge variety of builds right now, just due to the flexibility of how enchants work. Now moving on to the next set, we've got the Torque of Tonal Constancy. We talked a lot about this already. It's going to give us a ton of recovery. When one of our resources is below 50%, the other one will gain 450 additional recovery. This can be active for both your resources at the same time. So yeah, being on a stamina build, we expend a lot of resources, and man, this Torque really makes this build work. Even when we have very little sustain, we can come back from it. Really, really cool for this build. I know you guys may have thought I'd go for the Wild Hunt here, but at the end of the day, this ended up being better, and in fact, if you wanted the additional speed that the Wild Hunt would provide, I would say go for the Swift on the jewelry here instead of running the Wild Hunt. Keep the Torque, it is that good. And then moving on to the next set, we have got the Master Bow on the back bar, and this will increase our weapon damage by 330 against targets affected by our Poison Arrow. It's the infused Torug's Bow too. I mean, look at this. We have got base almost 1,000 weapon damage when we land a poison injection on the target. That's a massive damage bonus. That's all I really need to say. And this will amplify all of our Greatsword kit, which just makes our Greatsword kit even more powerful. Really good stuff. And then the last set we've got on this build is the Slimecraw Arm Cops. And this one here, I would say definitely go Slimecraw. Just because we need that additional crit chance, it makes Torug's Pact run better, and we hit super hard thanks to Torug's Pact as well. So this makes it the ideal one piece here. If you really want, you could go for the penetration as well. Now, back to the weapons. They are, of course, both infused. We are running that Torug's Pact build. The back bow is the weapon spell damage enchant to buff up, and then the front bar is the poison damage enchant. You can go for poison or disease here as kind of your best in slots. I actually really like poison because it has a 20% chance to apply the poison status effect, and the first damage over time tick is instant with the poison damage of the enchant itself. So it actually deals a little bit more damage than the other enchants do. You could add about 1,000 to the tooltip of this bad boy to give you an idea of the damage bonus. And of course, disease will give you that defile if you prefer to go that route too. This being a burst build, I think poison is a little bit better. The jewelry is full infused with weapon damage. If you guys want to play this build in the non-champion campaign, I would recommend throwing on the tri-stat recovery glyphs here. The health recovery, the magicka, and the stamina recovery that they provide will make this build run a lot better in no CP, and you can throw on as many as you feel you need. This base set will hit super hard regardless of how many weapon damages you have built up here, so there you go. And then for the gear, it is, of course, all medium armor. Like I said, 511, up to you guys if you want to go that route. And then we've got full divines with max stamina and chance. And that's just to give us the best outgoing damage that we can get. Now, you guys are always asking me what styles I've got when I put builds out, and I'll show you guys just this once, but only because there's a little bit of a hidden motive to it. We got the Opal Engine Mask, the Heavy Minotaur Pauldrons, the Apostle Heavy Gauntlets, Trinimac Light Breeches, Elder Argonian Jerkin, that's light, Apostle Light Sash, and then the Apostle Light Shoes, Opal Engine Bow, and the Opal Engine Greatsword. I really like these weapon motifs. They have some really cool effects when you pull them out. They look absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, I am missing one style for this build that I would love to get my hands on, and that's the Opal Engine Guardian Shoulder. If you guys do see this anywhere on PCNA, please let me know at Jack Daniel. I've been looking for it for so long, and yeah, I'm honestly just saying this in the video out of almost desperation to see if this item even exists anymore. But anyway, moving back to the build. Alright, so let's take a look at the skills we're running on this build. If you guys are familiar with Ghost, the skills have not changed from the previous iteration of the build. The first ability we have is Executioner. That is our finisher move of choice. And with the Torg's Pact enchant, when we lead with a light or heavy attack into the Executioner, we actually have some really huge damage because the extra damage from the enchant will help push them into that execute range. So we can actually clock people from like 60% health with the partial charged heavy into an execute. If we get a big crit, it has the potential to kill them. So a very deadly move, especially for the setup we have on this build here. The next skill we have is Critical Rush, and this, again, a very deadly move for this build. I do want to buff up so you guys can see 7.1k damage on this tooltip, the increased scaling damage at a distance, and the guaranteed critical strike. This gives us pretty much the strongest gap closer you could build for in PvP. We're going to hit super hard with Torg's Pact on top. People are going to feel us when we jump on top of them with this build. This also makes Critical Rush our choice spammable for the build, proccing Torg's Pact, of course, as well. And then, of course, we got Camouflaged Hunter. This is here for the buffs that it provides. The Major Savagery buff for that crit, Minor Berserk for the additional damage. Really nice stuff, synergizing well with Crit Rush being a guaranteed critical hit. And, of course, we can use this as a stealth detect if we need one. And this is a little bit additional weapon damage on our front bar. Our heal of choice being Rally for this build, it's going to give us the Major Brutality buff and Minor Endurance, both super fantastic for the build. And then we get that bulky burst heal. Swordsinger does increase the amount of healing that you do, so this is a huge heal for this build, especially if it crits with our Shadow Mundus. Between this and the Purge heal over time, you honestly have quite a bit of healing power on this build. You want to make sure that you're fast to use your Purges on Ghost, though, because this is a fast-paced build, and you need to make sure you're actively defending yourself. Making a burst heal like this the heal of choice because we can respond to a huge amount of incoming damage very quickly. And then, of course, we've got Binding Javelin. This is going to be our primary stun for the build. It also ignores the enemy's resistance, but honestly, because this does not proc Torg's Pact when we use it by itself, it is not really a choice skill unless we really want to get that stun. And slotting it here also gives us that 10% critical damage bonus. And then we got Onslaught, guys. We are running a mace on the front bar, if you guys saw in the gear. So we don't get that maximum damage that we could if we were running a greatsword with Onslaught. But still, this is going to deal an insane amount of damage. Honestly, I'll go as far to say as this Onslaught is going to be one of the hardest hitting Onslaughts on the server if you're playing this build. Not only do we have a huge tooltip on this guy, missing all of our other buffs, but we've also got the Torg's Pact enchant on top of it. It will ignore your opponent's armor entirely and give you penetration equal to the amount of armor ignored. That's a huge deal because it makes your enchants, again, deal so much extra damage, and just all of our other attacks. Yeah, man, Onslaught is the big killer move. When you hit someone with this from an off-balance stun, that is the kill combo of choice for Ghost. Alright, so taking a look at the bow bar now, the first skill we have is Poison Injection. This is here to, of course, proc that Master Bow, a deadly damage over time as well, increasing in damage as our opponent's health drops. You could definitely go for the other morph here in order to interrupt at a distance. Comes in really handy if you're doing solo fighting, especially to interrupt reses. That being said, though, Ghost having a very powerful crit rush, you do really want to try to jump on top of someone who's resing, hit them with the bash, and then a kill combo if you can help it. But, you know, it is your choice what morph you want to take here. And the next ability we have is Power of the Light. This is our big boy combo skill outside of our ultimate. This can deal 18.4k damage on the tooltip. Not too bad. It'll stack up the damage that your opponent takes for 6 seconds and release 20% of it onto them. That is unblockable damage as well. Now, Power of the Light has a lot of synergy with our build because we use pretty exotic damage types. Specifically, we increase our Greatsword damage, and we're using things like Master Bow, Torix Pact, but Power of the Light can copy over any damage that you deal, so it works well with these exotic damage sets. It actually gives Templar a lot of synergy for a build like this versus doing something like this on another class. And then, of course, we get the Minor Fracture, Minor Breach. Really nice just to have a little bit more damage and negative effects on your target. And then we've got Elusive Mist. Oh, baby. This is the Magicka block of the build. You reduce 75% of the damage you take when you're in Mist form, and you gain Major Expedition. And you can't be stunned or immobilized while you're in Mist. Now, you don't get any Magicka recovery, and you don't get any healing while you're in Mist form either. The Magicka recovery loss is actually a good thing because it works really well with our Torque. Whenever we are low on stamina, we can just hug Mist form for a while, and our Torque will work overtime. Not only that, but if we want our Torque to be working, but we want to stay at about half Magicka, we can just keep flicking Mist in between the action points of the fight to keep our Magicka at ideal levels. Honestly, being able to control your Magicka regen with Mist works really well with the Torque, and then the defensive utility that it provides for Ghost is unmatched. Now, moving on to our next ability, we have Extended Ritual. This is the Purge for the build. Templar Purge, pretty much the defining skill of Templar, removing so many harmful effects and attacks in the game. You can negate huge damage from dots, things like Sork's Curse, etc. I mean, Purge is so useful, and then that heal over time that it provides is really good for this build too, because we don't have a huge amount of health recovery. Now, something to keep in mind, though, is that this is a very expensive skill, and casting it once will cause our Torque to activate, and that's a good thing. Ideally, we want to keep our Magicka in range so that when we do Purge, we can have another Purge coming up really soon, but at the same time, we have our Magicka below that 50% value. So yeah, man, this being an expensive skill actually isn't very bad for the build. And then finally, the last skill that we have here is Restoring Focus. This is our armor buff and the stamina recovery that it gives. That stamina return continues to happen even if you're blocking as well or sneaking, so it's very, very useful for in general combat recovery. And of course, standing in the rune will give us a little bit higher armor value as well. Not that Ghost is super tanky, but if you do need to turtle up, it is a little bit of an option. And then finally, the ultimate, we've got Temporal Guard. This will give us minor protection on our back bar, which is super important while we're in our Mist form. And then, of course, we can teleport back to where we were 4 seconds ago. Super useful for a speed-oriented build like Ghost. We're at speed cap when we're sprinting in medium armor, so we can cover a lot of distance and then teleport back to where we were and throw off a whole bunch of players with an ultimate like this. Now, let's take a look at the champion points on this bad boy. Starting off in the Tower Tree, we've got 40 in the Warlord. And that's it. We got a break free, but I didn't opt in putting any more points in there. In the Lover Tree, we got 64 Mooncalf, 49 Arcanist, and 7 in Healthy. Big focus on Mooncalf. We've got a lot of stamina recovery, so we want to amplify that as much as possible. Arcanist being our next best recovery, and then a little bit in Healthy too. You could put some in Tenacity if you really wanted, but you're not doing a ton of heavy attacks with Ghost, at least not for the purpose of restoring resources. And then finally, we've got Wind Running for that additional movement speed and a little bit of recovery while we sprint. Nice stuff too. And then taking a look at the Shadow Tree, we got 66 Tumbling and 44 Shadow Ward. The choice of 7 Medium with the high points in Tumbling gives us some really good roll dodge sustain and just general stamina recovery all around. So yeah, I really like this choice. With the Torque, we really feel the sustain on this build. And then, of course, we have to block in PvP, regardless of what build we're playing. This is super important, especially on a build like Ghost where we're kind of squishy. There are some attacks that you absolutely must block. And then moving on to the next tree, nothing in the Apprentice. In the Atronach, we got 81 Master at Arms and 39 Physical Weapon Expert. A nice standard burst tree for me. We got that Tactician passive. That's what we need, man, to set an opponent off balance with that roll dodge. Sets up those really deadly combos into our ultimate with the partial charged heavy. And the next tree here, we got 49 Mighty, 50 Piercing, 51 Precise Strikes. A nice even spread yet again, just to kind of reflect our even kind of crit rate that we have at 47%. And then the important passives we get is Perfect Strike. We need all the crits that we can get. Exploiter for the bonus damage against an off-balance opponent. And then Last Stand so we can get that major heroism if we take some pretty ruthless damage but manage to come back from it. Now moving on to the red tree. In the steed, we got a nice stacked tree. 61 ironclad, 58 resistant, 30 medium armor, and 10 in spell shield. I actually would put 5 points for medium armor to spell shield just to even out my armor values a bit. But there you go. That's just to bulk our character up all around, mostly against direct incoming damage and crits, which is our biggest weakness, incoming burst. And then in this tree here, we got 37 hardy, 37 elemental defender. Nothing in thick-skinned. We've got that powerful purge man. We shouldn't be taking too much damage from dots. And this is to reduce the incoming burst as well. And then 37 in quick recovery for that additional healing power. And that's the build, guys. Alright guys, let's jump into that PvP commentary. So to start us off, I've got a little bit of a skirmish outside of this keep here, and this isn't a crazy fight or anything, but it does a really good job just showing off what Ghost does well. So as you can see, the first thing we do when we engage with the Dragon Knight is we dot him up at a distance, and then we're going to stun him. And I go for the Greatsword ultimate, not the best call because he responds really fast to that stun, and he's got a lot of time to dodge that ultimate. So we just go for a kite back around the terrain here, and we've got another blue engaging, 2 blues here, a Nightblade out of stealth there, and we just use our speed to break the group apart. That's the first rule of Ghost, use your speed to break the group apart. So now we've got a single target on us. As he approaches, we dotted him up with the Power of the Light, the Poison Injection, hit him with a nice counter stun as he's coming into us, and we killed him there. This guy here, we get with a fantastic partial charged bow heavy when he's off balance, so we stun him coming into that crit rush. Really good combo as well. And then I look around, manage to find another enemy Templar, and here comes the siege down on top of me. Quickly throw the purge down, and I'm just going to head back to the other side here and just stay in the terrain. Ghost is a great build again, but you have to use your terrain effectively in order for this build to work, and running outside into the open is not the optimal call. Even though we're getting sieged here, it is better to be in terrain, and I opt to move behind the house here. Again, we've got some line of sight, and now we can't get hit by that siege. I try to go for a little bit of an open up on that enemy Necromancer there with the heavy attack. Seeing an opponent off balance, I'm always really tempted to try to get that partial charged heavy into my ultimate, but I miss my opportunity there, and there you see we do get him with the off balance there, but we don't manage to land this stun. And I'm again just going to go for the attack and then kite right back behind here. Fairly low on resource, but we got that potion coming, and there's that bow heavy. We start working the combo on this enemy Templar there. We got the Power of the Light, the Poison Injection. There's the stun into the Executioner. I think he just underestimated how hard we'd hit, and there was that combo. The partial charged heavy into the Onslaught, the light attack Executioner to bring him down. Nice stuff. Now, moving on to a fight where it gets a little bit more hectic, I think. We're inside a keep here, and this is a good example of what a play on this build can look like when you're trying to do a little bit of a defensive situation where your team doesn't really have a chance of making the defense. Nonetheless, we managed to pick up a nice gank on the player there. Notice he had over 30k hit points. Not going to stop us from cutting through him with our combo. We can hit super hard with that fully charged combo into the ultimate. And here you see we actually get caught with the rally down coming into the mist form up here. Actually, kind of a dangerous situation to be with the rally down. Got to make sure we keep our buffs up on any build. And we're going to go again, just dot this guy up on this stuff. I roll preemptively as we dot him up, and I do dodge that attack from the Dragon Knight, but we take a super nasty leap there into the Nightblade Bow ultimate as well. Come up the staircase, purge off all those negative effects, and then just wait for them to come around the corner, pulling that bow heavy attack. Again, we return a little bit of stamina, but we also get to start working the hit point bar of our opponent, and we just keep working the dots on this guy here. I keep him Power of the Light, Poison Injected, and I go around the corner. I want to hit that Greatsword partial charged heavy into the ultimate again, but he jumped off the edge, and that combo, man, I'm telling you, so much damage. Here we get a nice stun on this guy there, the light attack, the Executioner, everything crits, and we just quickly bring him down. We're going to jump on top of these guys here, try to get some work into them. Again, I go for that partial charged heavy into the ultimate. Super risky to have attempted that there. We could have been counter stunned and put down really hard, but we managed to just escape out of that. The enemy player did block that combo anyway, and we're trying to keep the combo on top of this enemy Sork as he holds block here. And again, I don't want to stick to the combo if there's too many players there. Come back behind the terrain here, reset my buffs, and we're going to try again. And here you guys really see the pattern of Ghost. We just attack, retreat, and we control the fight by using our movement and our distance. And there you see we managed to catch one guy by himself as the rest turn around to capture that last flag, and we pick up another kill there on top of that front flag. Now the blue come charging out after a friendly red player here. I get pulled by the Dragon Knight chain there. I go right away into my mist form just to turtle up. I was actually expecting a leap from that Dragon Knight, and you guys know that leap being undodgeable, not the best ultimate to get hit by on this build. We head into the tower here. Me and the fellow EP actually just work on killing a few of these guards off before the blue players come charging in here, because they did just flip that keep. And I try to go for a bit of a combo with my ult there. Good damage into the blue player, but I can't stick it out as I'm a little bit lower resource there. Again, try to work another combo there, but the loading screen hits. Our potion is up, though, so we're going to be getting a lot of resource back here. And the enemy Necromancer's throwing all his heals down. I actually just go for a target shift there. Necro's fairly tanky normally, so I switch to this guy, a little bit lower hit points. Land the stun there, but unfortunately he has CC immunity. I couldn't see it at his feet there, but we didn't manage to get him with that. We're going to head back up the staircase here and just keep using the terrain. Ghost does such a good job defending itself in a tight doorway like that, where we have a lot of different directions we can go. As long as we're not statically moving in a circle, but changing directions all the time, it can throw people off pretty good. Here you see we find ourselves in a super dangerous position, and I'm forced to use the oh crap ultimate to escape that. A huge rally heal there as we come back around the corner, and I find myself finally with a little bit of a break to get a bit of resource back. I don't chug the potion right away simply because I want to utilize the torque sustain, and we're not in combat, so there's no reason for me to waste the potion for the engagement when we need it. And here we see we dot up this guy, hit him with the critical rush into the light attack executioner and the roll combo there. A nice cancel, and we bring another player down. I think he just wasn't expecting us to jump on top of him and hit him that hard. But man, that crit rush doing some vicious damage on this build, and me and the friendly EP quickly work down the NPCs at the bottom here, and lots of blue players come rushing in here. There's a dead body here. This guy is trying to go for the res. I just hit him with the bash, and then we keep working the corridor here. Lots of movement, moving around in between where the players are facing. You want to keep forcing them to turn around. The better you can do that, the harder your opponent has of a time targeting you. So you can mitigate a huge amount of damage, especially on a speedier build like this, just by moving around like that. And here you see I take a weird stun. I think I stood on one of the Mage's Guild skills there. Trying to bring down this guard because I don't want to eat that negate if I can help it. And the blue are a little coy to come pouring into this tower just yet. And there is still friendly EP in here as well. This guy I just keep working with my dots. We're trying to get a combo out on him, but this enemy Necromancer just spamming the Purge. I drop my Greatsword ultimate on him, go into the Executioner there. I don't manage to get the kill, but I believe the friendly player finishes the kill there. I see the AP tick, but we won't know till we go back around that corner. And a lot of kiting here to try to survive this. It looks like... No, I don't see the body. We may have killed him, but I think he got rezzed right away. And we managed to escape just out the bottom here. And here is where I make, you know, the bad tactical call. I just myself can't retreat, so I'm forced to just continue to keep re-engaging with these guys, just out of the fact that I have to play like an idiot. I think we should have run away there. All the friendly EP were dead, and they, yeah, look at that ult dump, man. Nothing we can do on that kind of resource to survive that. Now moving on to our next fight here. Got a little bit of a solo on Alessia Bridge. And the yellow always come pouring in this location. They did see me ahead of time here, so I just wait around the corner, and we dot the first player up, and he is very squishy. We kill him right away with that light attack. I don't even think the Executioner goes off. The Torg's Pact enchant is enough to bring him down. And the rest of the yellow come pouring around the corner. I throw some big damage on them there. One of them being very squishy, putting a lot of damage in with the Greatsword splashes, but they heal up as they come around the corner, and I'm taking a lot of pressure, so I'm not able to really commit to anything here. And every time we walk around that corner, we're just running back through them again, the direction change, and get that heavy attack off as often as possible, just for that little bit of additional stamina sustain. And there we see again, I just come right back up the staircase here. I don't think it's a good idea for me to go anywhere else but in this tight little staircase here and just keep using these corners to kite these guys out. The Necro throws down that big AoE snare, and I just missed right out of that. Too much attention in that corner there. So we're just going to do a little bit of a position change again, using that Mistform just to shell up and get ourselves into a safer spot. The Nightblade comes out of stealth here, but doesn't do a whole bunch of damage, doesn't seem to be running too much pressure there. So we managed to just easily heal that away and open up on the next player that comes up. He does not break this stun. He definitely should have, so we just finish him off with the Executioners there. We're going to head back down to the bottom here, and then we're going to come right back up. And the reason for this, of course, is to prevent that res from happening. The direction change to get a few of them to follow us down there so we can get a nice bash. There's a great stun with that partial charged heavy, and I probably should have gone into the ultimate there. I went for the mist thinking that we would take damage ourselves, but we did not. And there we see the Sork is just running around the corner here, trying to chase that other player, and I'm just going to crit rush him from behind to bring him down. This other enemy player here is throwing the lightning heavies down. I give a little bit of chase, and then I realize how many hit points he has and say to myself, okay, we don't need to commit to this guy here. And with that, I will let you guys enjoy the rest of the footage. We get a few more kills from the players on the bridge, and of course there's one last little clip for you guys too. I really hope that you guys like this build. Again, this is my favorite build to play, so I have a blast when I'm on it, and I hope that you guys have half as much fun as I do. That being said, I am working on something pretty cool right now. Wink wink, Stealth Necromancer, so look forward to that coming in the near future for you guys. As always, if you guys want to send in clips for the top 5, or if you guys want to send in a build to be featured on the channel, you can send that to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. If you guys want to keep up to date with my shenanigans, you can give me a follow on Twitter. It'll also let you know when I'm streaming. You can check out my Twitch if you guys want to see some live gameplay from me, or if you just want to come chat about stuff. And of course, check out my website, KristoferESO.com, for written guides not only to this build, but all of the builds that I feature on my channel now. And it's a hub for all of my ESO content. We are sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, and they're free to try for the first 30 days via the link in the description below. And finally, a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon. You guys keep the show going. Thank you everybody for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.